Hi, everybody. This is Nancy with Real Estate and much more. I'm here today with Greg Spallas from Up
Umpqua Bank.
Amqua Bank. I don't know why I can't say that, but anyway, I'm here with Greg, and I have a couple questions. He's a loan officer, and he's going to answer some questions that could be very helpful with a first-time home buyer. So, hi, Greg. How are you
I'm
today?
doing great, Nancy. Glad to be here.
Great. I'm here. I'm glad to be here too. So, Greg, I'm going to start. So, this won't be a long video. It's just a couple questions. And what do you consider the first steps in really buying a house?
Well, without question, people need to go and get pre-approved. What I see all the time is they think that they know and they think they know what their credit is, but until you really get in there and get pre-approved, have somebody look at your whole scenario, it's really difficult to tell what you may or may not qualify for. One of the things that I think is really important, or a piece that people think they know their credit scores
Mm-hmm.
because they use a free service and they think that their score is 740, let's say. But the reality is that score is just from one of the bureaus, and there may be things that the other bureaus are reporting that are having a very negative effect on their credit. So their actual score that I'm going to use for my purposes are going to be significantly less than what they think they are.
That's interesting. What's the difference between pre-qualified and pre-approved?
Well, pre-qualified is just kind of looking at the facts without necessarily documenting them all. Pre-approved at our company, for example, we'll actually I can send a file in and get it completely underwritten, and then all we need is so basically at that point we're just waiting for somebody to get into contract. So those things are it's obviously better to be
Yeah.
pre-approved, but I think it's probably best stepping back a little bit and talking about getting in there and looking at everything and oftentimes I think people they think that things may work a particular way, but some of the things are a little counterintuitive. So some of the things and actions that people think they should be taking may actually be having a negative effect. So it's important, it's a planning thing. I don't think you wake up one day and decide, today's the day I'm going to get pre-approved, I'm going to buy a house. For most people, it takes planning. You need to make sure your credit's in order. You have money saved, whatever the case. There's lots of different variables that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I think that um, everyone's different in terms of how they take care of their credit, and I just think it's critical to have somebody look at that and help you establish a game plan. And even though you may not be ready today, there may be some steps you can take so that you're 3, 6, maybe it's 12 months, or maybe it's longer than that. You have a plan and you know what you need to do. You can create a roadmap and steps, milestones, and things you need to do so that you can purchase the home. And I think it's always best to take your time because the things if you can save money, have more down payment, it's going to make the situation better for you. It'll give you more flexibility.
I think that's really good advice, especially for the first-time home buyer getting into buying a house. And I always get that question, what do I need to do to buy a house? So I think that's perfect. The second question I have for you is, what are the qualifying guidelines for a loan?
Well, that's a tough question, and that's one that I think that first-time home buyers, you probably don't need to worry about all the guidelines. That's frankly my job.
Uh-huh.
So, and it depends on which program you're in, and they're going to vary. For the most part, they're pretty similar, but there are so many variables involved that's just really something that they need to just not worry about. Come in, get pre-approved, and then we'll figure out, okay, which program are you going to be an FHA borrower? Are you going to be able to go conventional? Do you have the ability to go VA? And the guidelines will be different, depending on which route that is going to be best for the individual.
Okay, good advice. Third question, what is the biggest mistake people make when applying for a loan?
Well, I think making assumptions and thinking that they know how it all is going to work and that they've done everything. There's like I said earlier, there are counterintuitive steps that people take that actually can make things worse for them. For example, they think. Oftentimes, I'll hear people tell me, "Yeah, I just closed. I had these credit cards. I paid them off, and I closed all those accounts." Well, that's going to probably be a negative thing.
Yeah.
Because we want to see, strong or accounts that are, ideally old, that have been paid on time for a long time, that have a lot, and you want to have available credit. So by diminishing some of that available credit, you may in fact be causing yourself harm, versus doing, it sounds good, and it's good, pay off debt, I'm all about that, but don't, in most cases it's probably best not to close accounts.
What about going out and buying furniture or a car?
Yeah.
Have you had that experience where people
Well,
come in and apply?
People, you definitely, you need to keep in mind that, and especially with first-time home buyers, because oftentimes, it'll be somebody that's very young getting started. Although that's certainly not the case now. A lot of people may be older and have more established credit. But if you're just starting out and you're getting into a modest type, first-time home, what if you have a big expense? If you have a new, let's say you buy a car, well, it's pretty easy to go buy a car and have a $400 payment. So if you have a $400 car payment and you're only making $4,000 a month, there's 10% of your monthly income going to the car right away.
Yeah.
So it's going to make the ratios in purchasing a home very difficult. So, you want to, it's probably, if you're starting to think that, hey, I'm going to buy a house, you're going to probably want to limit the your monthly expenses, or everyone's going to probably need a car, maybe not, depending on where you live. But if you have a car payment, you don't need a $500 or $600 car payment. Buy something more modest, and it's going to give you create more opportunities and options for you when you go to purchase a home.
Good advice. Okay, what is the biggest? That was number 4. What is the minimum down payment required for a loan?
Well, that's another thing. It's going to vary again depending on the program. Conventional loans, you can put as little as 3% down nowadays.
So it's not the 20%?
No, but you're going to have mortgage insurance, but there are some programs where the mortgage insurance is going to be, especially for folks with good credit scores, it's going to be discounted. It's a pretty attractive option or alternative to FHA. Now, you may be FHA, you're going to be putting 3.5% the minimum down payment. VA, you can do no money down. And then, there's different flavors of down payment assistance programs. So, theoretically, you can get close to zero money down. But the important thing for everyone to remember, besides the down payment, there's closing costs. So, it's going to vary again depending on, which lender you're working with. Fees are going to should be fairly similar, but they do differ. And then how your contract is written. Are you having the seller pay for some of that? I tell people to plan on about 3%, and that should cover most transactions. And in most cases, I see that that's more than what it'll end up being. But I've seen some contracts where, especially in this market, where it's very competitive, so buyers are offering to pay for almost everything. So consequently, the closing costs will obviously be higher.
Okay.
So again, like everything, there's variables. There's no set answer.
Well, at least it gives a direction. I mean, something for our clients. The last one is, are there any other costs or fees involved in the home buying process? And I think you just answered that.
I think so. Yeah. So, there are the closing costs. You're going to include in that. You're going to probably have, a credit report fee, an appraisal fee. You have all your title and escrows, but
home inspections.
Beyond, that's going to probably be something outside that's separate on your side of the deal. But in addition to that, it's going to, let's see, what was I going to say here? The credit reports, those types of fees, you're going to have those with most lenders. You're going to have your title and escrow fees. But the big part of it is going to be your prepaid expenses. So people, they're oftentimes kind of surprised by how high that dollar amount or ends up being. We're paying for 1 year's homeowner's insurance in advance. We're going to probably collect for about 3 months of additional homeowner's insurance. Plus, depending on which month of the year that you close in, we're going to be collecting, 3 to 9 months of property taxes too. So all those numbers add up. And those aren't necessarily a fee, but it's a cost that you will have at the close of escrow.
Good information for the first-time home buyer, or for people that are interested in buying a house today. I guess this is my last question, and I didn't pre-frame this for you, but do you think this is a good time to buy right now?
Well, I think it is a good time to buy. I've been kind of semi bearish, worried about, have things gotten way too out of hand in
Yeah,
and I'm talking about our particular market because frankly that's what I care about here, in this greater Sacramento area where I do most of my business. And what I'm seeing is, or what's really made me think, this thing's going to continue. We're going to continue to have a strong, solid market. Is we have a lot of people. I'm starting to see more of the people that we hear about, millennials that have been holding out. I'm
right.
seeing more millennials, but I'm seeing people that are even outside of that millennial age group who've not purchased homes in the past. More people coming to the market. And people now have jobs and they're stable. That more people seem stable, and I think there's no shortage of buyers out there. I mean, we obviously have inventory
Yeah,
issues. The home builders are trying to address that and build more, but they can only go so fast. There's a limit of entitled
yeah,
land. So I think in our particular market, I think values will probably. I don't know that they're necessarily going to skyrocket, in my opinion, the kind of how they have. But I think that we'll have steady growth. So I think it's a good time. It's a good time to buy, and I think for most people, if you're looking at it as a place to live, and maybe not, it's obviously an investment to some degree, but if it's the place you're living in, you're putting money into it. You're not going to get a phone call next week from the landlord saying, I know I told you in the past we're not going to sell, but we've changed our
yeah.
mind, and then you're moving again. So you're really putting down roots, and I think that's attractive to most folks, and it gives you a strong sense of community, and I think it's just a good feeling that comes with home ownership. So I think it's a good time to buy. I mean, the market's it's a little frustrating, but if you're prepared, I think you can go out there and maneuver it and have success and be able to close escrow on a home.
Great. Well, hey, Greg, it's such a pleasure talking to you today, and thank you for all the information that you shared with my viewers today, and hope to be working with you soon in the
Yeah.
future.
Likewise, Nancy. I was happy to be here. That was fun.
Thanks. Trying to turn it off. There we go. Thank you guys. Have a great day.